Hello friends, I'm Matt Weaver, pastor at Door of Hope, and to my left here is Carlin Yoder, and we want to talk about something tonight that is very passionate to both of us. We've had the opportunity to go to Myanmar a couple of times, and as we've went over there and interacted with the orphans over there, the children over there, we can say that they've really touched our lives and our hearts, and it's a part of our lives that we can't put behind us and we can't forget. And so I want to talk a little bit about how this orphanage began. In 2008, Myanmar had a cyclone that went through and killed 138,000 people. And so as you can imagine, there were a lot of orphans after that tragedy happened in Myanmar. And friend of ours, the director of the orphanage, Jeremiah, a young man at the time, felt a direct call from God to take care of these children. And I wish he could be here to give you all the details of how God called him out of what he was doing to pursue taking care of these children. And it's an amazing story. He started out with very little money, but a lot of faith. And 2012 was the first time that I went over there, my wife and I. And by then, he had a tea shop and a house that he lived in. And through that, he also was able to purchase two other homes, one for the boys and one for the girls. And those of you who have been to a third world country know that these houses are not like we have around here. And these houses were even in bad shape for that area. And so he had a lot of work to put into it. Fast forward to today, he's been able to move those orphans out of the city of Yangon, out of town about 30 miles to a piece of land that his father-in-law owned. And we've been able to build a house there. And this house has a common sleeping area for the boys and a common sleeping area for the girls. And I think we have around 45 children at this time that we take care of there. And one of the most beautiful things about coming back from Myanmar this last time in February was one of the girls who were an orphan when I was there in 2012, she was 12 years old, is now one of the head staff currently at the orphanage there in Yangon. And so that's always something that really touches my heart, is to see how productive a lot of these children become as adults. And also, Jeremiah felt called in 2000, I believe it was 2014, 15, somewhere in that time frame, to start another orphanage in the northern part of Myanmar. And this one he was called to start because of the ongoing civil war that is happening in Myanmar. And it's a war that most people don't really know a lot about, but it is the longest ongoing civil war in the world. And it started, I think, in 1948. And so it's been an ethnic conflict that has been raging for a long, long time. And with his orphanage in Yangon, he started having orphans from this conflict filtering into that orphanage. And so he felt God's call to begin an orphanage in the northern part of Myanmar. And so we've been able to go to that as well. And through the last couple of years, we have been able to build two houses in the northern part of Myanmar. And that orphanage has, we've got a total of 100 orphans. So that orphanage has about 55 orphans in it as well. And the trauma that these children have is heart-wrenching. You know, as we hear their stories, as we look into their faces, and we can only imagine the trials and the struggles that they have went through. And I can almost always tell if it's a new orphan when I go back, just because they have a frozen look on their face, their eyes have a different look. I mean, it's a look that you don't see many times in your life. It's a lifeless, frozen glaze over their eyes, and they just have they're very emotionless. And it's always such a blessed thing to see how they change from year to year, how that life is coming back into their eyes, and how you can see joy in their life. in their interaction with their new friends, their new family. And so many of these children have lost parents in this war, and most of them are innocent victims of it. They're just villages that are caught in the crossfire of this conflict. It's, just how it always happens. The innocent people are the ones who suffer. And so, as you listen to this video, I just earnestly ask you to pray for these children. Without the hand of God touching their life, they won't see healing. And it's a healing that we can't give them. Only God can give them the peace that they need. And so, again, it's always such a blessing for me to go over there and see how these children have grown up to be productive adults, many of them. And so we really feel like God working in their lives is the most important thing that we can give them. And we can't do that without your prayers. And so we thank you very much for your prayers. And I hope you can just find in your hearts an understanding of what these children are going through. And so that's all I have to share. I would like to have Carlin share a little bit as well.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Matt, for sharing. It's been, I've been involved in this, the orphanages there for a few years now. It's been very special to me. It's become very close to my heart. The children are very special to me. I've learned a lot of life lessons through working with these children. I think one of the biggest ones is that true happiness really comes from serving others. It's when you put your selfish desires aside and you really focus in on God's work, serving Jesus and serving others is when you'll find true happiness. That's been my experience. As far as the children go, it's sad. Some of them, especially the ones that are newer there or have just come from the jungle or the villages or whatever, as Matt said, they're very traumatized. They've been through so much abuse, and hard telling what all really that they've been through. But it's interesting to see that over the years, that light that comes back in their eyes, and a lot of them that have been there, the majority of them have been there for a year or two or more, and they're just so happy. They're so happy all the time, smiling. And I think that's a good lesson for us, or it has been for me. No matter what you've been through in life, what you're going through, if you have Jesus in your heart and you're looking to Him, you can still be happy, no matter what. That's so just so cool for me to see that, and it's meant a lot to me to see the children and the way they come out of those situations to thrive, like you said, and a lot of them go on to become successful in whatever they do as adults. And I think we can apply it to our lives today. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now, and I think at times, it's easy to kind of feel sorry for ourselves, with everything that's going on. But I think if you look around you, you'll find that there's a lot of people who have it a lot worse than you. Even with everything that's going on in our country today, we're still way more blessed than the majority of the people in the world. That's one of the things I learned from going to these countries like this. So we're glad to have you guys along on this journey. I do want to touch a little bit on a girl. She is 14 years old, and she came to the orphanage about 2 years ago, and she wrote a note to us that she just wanted to thank you all for your prayers, and she said that through us showing her God's love and through your prayers and our prayers, she came to accept Jesus as her Savior into her heart. And that's the most important thing. That's really what
Amen.
this is all about, is the children coming to know Jesus.
Yes.
And that's the most special part of this all. So we want to thank you guys for joining us. We're getting ready to go through some pictures. We'll show you guys a little bit about the trip. So we'll hope that you enjoy that. All right, so thank you guys for joining us. We're going to go through some of these pictures now. Give you guys take you on a little journey of what our past trip was like. This is one of the, actually Matt, I'll let you go ahead and talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, so what this is they call this a pagoda over there, and this is where their main religion is Buddhism over there, and so this is where the people would come to worship, offer sacrifices to Buddha. I'm not sure what the percentage is of Buddhism worship over there, but it is by far the most worshipped God over there. Minority is Christian and then some Muslim as well.
Okay, so thank you, Matt. This was, we went up into the mountains one day, just some scenery. This is a river up in the mountains, and we went, and it was a pretty nice area there. This was in Yangon, where we stayed. This was right by our hotel. Pretty interesting view. Yeah, just more pictures of. This was on the way up there. We stopped beside the road, and yeah, got some pictures.
So this picture is of me and the driver who took us up north to look around up there. And the interesting thing about this guy is that he was actually one of the orphans from Yangon. I'm not sure how old he was when he came to the orphanage, but he has now aged out and works for a transportation company. So he took us up to do some sightseeing, and it was great to be able to ride with him.
Okay, here's a few pictures of the orphanage in Yangon. You can see a little bit what their living quarters look like.
So this would be some of the bathrooms they've built in Yangon. It's kind of a compound type place. They got their main living area, and then they've got these buildings here that have clothes hanging out. And then this is up north. This would be some ground that they don't own, but the neighbors are kind enough to let them raise a garden here. And we're hoping to be able to buy this land here for the children to continue to garden and maybe have a little place to play at. And then this is also up north, kind of their open cooking area underneath that lean-to. This was the original building when he first moved in, this thatch building, and so we've been fortunate enough to build 2 other buildings for them, but they still have their open kitchen area here. And it's interesting to see them cook over the open fire. We had a great evening here just sitting around the fire watching them cook.
So yeah, this is also in the north, the northern part of the country, the orphanage that we have there. The far building is the one that Matt was talking about that they built on, but the first one was the original building. But we were able to get a nicer facility. But that right there is sort of the living quarters right there. Yeah, they do a lot of, all their cooking actually over an open flame, so it's interesting that they do make very good food. It's just another picture. This was actually after we had painted, that's the girls' house there that we painted while we were there, so that was kind of interesting.
Here's just a picture of the kitchen area. You can kind of see what they're working with. Just kind of roughing it, I guess, is what we call it, but it's normal life for them. That's just the way that they're used to doing. They make the best out of the things that they have and the things that they've been blessed with.
Yeah, this right here is the girls' house. They sleep on the sort of a wooden bed there, and so yeah, they sleep on the hard wood beds that they've got made there. We went out to eat, so this was pretty interesting here. Some fish there and some rice. It was very good food. This was one day I went to pick up the children from school, and I took a bike, brought him back. I think he was a little bit scared to ride with me, but he looks pretty happy. These children can eat. They put away a lot of food, and it takes a lot of food to feed them. They eat with their hands. It's usually mostly rice. Every once in a while, the treat, they might get a little bit of chicken or something.
Okay, these pictures right here, when the children got off from school in the evening, we would spend about an hour or two with them, playing with balloons, playing with balls, just interacting with them. And there's a language barrier there, but you can still just love on them and spend time with them. Here we're playing soccer, just having a good time with the boys. And then they were practicing for Sunday. There's kind of a music team there. They do an amazing job with that. Here they're all sitting down having dinner. This is the last evening we were there. They killed a pig and had a big feast for us, and they all got in on that. And here you can just see the happiness that these children have, no matter what they've been through in their life. They're so thankful for the things that they have, what they've been blessed with, just a home to go back to. Here's a couple of little guys that rode along when we went out to the country, do some sightseeing. They were making some short work of some leftover fish that we had there. And here's just a couple of the younger kids that are at the home up north, and you can see they're always ready to smile for the camera and just enjoy spending time and interacting with them. Here we're at a soccer field, getting a little, blowing a little steam and getting whooped by some the guys that grew up in the orphanage there. So it was just a good time. Here they're enjoying some ice cream that we brought back. Treats like that they very seldom get to enjoy, but it's something that we were fortunate to be able to bless these children with and enjoy with them. Here's just some pictures of the boys that went along to the country again, just enjoying the food there, playing soccer. Just interacting with them, having a good time.
So this is the house in Yangon. We decided to paint these, and took us about a day and a half probably to paint all of these. And really it was interesting to see how excited the kids were when they came home from school to see the bright new colors on their houses. And then this is up north. We painted both of the houses up north. And wasn't too much of back-breaking work, but a little bit time-consuming. And as you can see, it was kind of a drab gray before we touched it up. So it was something that the children really enjoyed, seeing their houses come to life. Here you see some of us working on the girls' houses, and just trying to get the place to look good for the children and have them to be able to be excited about something. Here we're painting the doors, and the kids came home and really enjoyed what they saw.
So this was a day we spent with the children. There was an organization from the U.S. that sent dresses for the girls, and then when we were over there, we got some shirts for the boys as well. and we were just giving them their dresses and shirts and praying over them, blessing them. So it was interesting to see the joy on their face to get a new item of clothing. It's a good lesson for us. You can see how happy they are. I mean, just with getting something like that. We're very fortunate these children don't get many new clothes, and so when they do, it's pretty special, and they love it when we pray with them. And that was one of my favorite parts of the trip, was getting to pray over each child individually. It was a good time, and very thankful that we got to be able to do that for them.
We had the opportunity and the pleasure to worship with them on Sunday morning. Here's just a few pictures of that. Sharing it was a time of encouragement for them and also for myself. Here's the children singing. They were just praising God and just spending time worshiping Him, and it was just a great time. Sunday morning there, time of encouragement. These are 4 children here, or 4 youth that are just getting ready to take their final test in school, getting ready to graduate, and then they'll be, going out and getting jobs. And so we were just took the time to pray over them, pray for them as they maybe begin a new chapter in their life, as they kind of step out on their own some. It's just an opportunity that we had to bless them, and just thank God for what He's done in their life.
Okay, so these were just some of the group pictures that we got kind of towards the end. This was all of the boys of the Yangon orphanage. Very, very nice boys there, very sweet. This is just some of the pictures we had. This was a little boy holding one of the guys' hand. It's one of the better shots. I really like that one. They have several trucks that we got for them that they use to take the kids to school and wherever they need to go. It's just more interacting with the children. The little girls became very attached to Grace and Krista there. They are very special little girls. This was in the house of the director who runs the orphanages there. We stopped in and visited with him and his family for a little bit. That's Daniel with some of the children. This was a group picture down in Yangon, all the children together. I think this was just before we left. This is myself, Galen, and Josh with 2 of the ladies who take care of the children, cook for them, take them to school. They're part of the staff there at the Northern Orphanage. This is a picture of the group of guys we played soccer with. So thank you all for joining us and for watching this. It's been good to have you all along. I want to share a little bit about this little boy's story. He was pretty special to me. The children are all special to me, but when you go over there, sometimes you make special connections with certain children for whatever reason. And this was one of those. He was a little boy who wasn't there for very long, but the one thing you'll notice is his smile. He was always smiling, always happy, which is pretty amazing considering that both of his parents were killed in the war, and he was abandoned. Nobody was looking after him. Nobody was taking care of him. He was just running through the jungle, and somebody found him and brought him to the orphanage. Just an amazing story, a very special little boy. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I hope that it can be an encouragement to you all, lift your spirits maybe through this time that we're going through. Let's remember to pray for each other, look out for each other. And also, if any of you are interested in helping out with the children right now, with everything that's going on, sometimes it's hard to get funds around to care for them. So if any of you would like to help, feel free to contact me, Matt Weaver, or anyone here at Door of Hope. So I hope you all have enjoyed this. God bless.